Hey guys, Bijuu Mike here. Welcome to the continuation of Crimson Gray. I'm really glad you guys are enjoying this series, and last episode I kind of ended it abruptly, but I'm going to try to finish off the game here, but we'll just see how it goes, okay? If you did miss last episode, be sure to check it out with the eye. Click the eye, and let's do it. Oh! The music was so perfect! Still in his arms, Lizzie unleashed peal after peal of insane laughter. There was an unearthly quality to it that made his skin crawl, but John held onto her tighter and closed his eyes. That is really terrifying. Eventually, the laughter faded and she was still there. The tension in her body had dissipated, leaving her resting against him. When she looked up into his eyes, there was a sweet love there and also an intensity. He had never seen both of them in her at the same time, and it made him shiver involuntarily, but not necessarily in fear. John loves me. Yes, I do. I won't leave you. I never thought it would be like this. This is who I am, and I thought I would calm down if you loved me, but now I feel so alive. I don't know what to do with these feelings. That's okay, Lizzie. I'll stay with you. We can figure things out. Then please kiss me, John. Oh god, this is a good ending, I hope. He kissed her, she kissed back, gently at first, then almost viciously. He tasted blood in their kiss. It wasn't sure whose it was, but he didn't pull away. The kiss was wild and unhinged, but utterly unlike his floating romances of the past. Lizzie's fingers dug into his back and she kissed him until she had pulled back, gasping for breath. Thank you, thank you. Her eyes had softened again. He knew the intensity was still lurking underneath the peace he saw under the surface, but it was no longer frightening him. He had felt that he should say something, but couldn't find the words. After a moment, he realized that Lizzie had fallen asleep. Why do I feel like this is the story to Yandere Simulator and why Yandere-chan's dad stayed? Does it not seem like that could be it? After a moment of uncertainty, he decided to carry Lizzie up the stairs. She was much lighter than he expected, and he didn't have a hard time tucking her into a bed. Lying here, she almost looked angelic. He knew that she wasn't, and honestly, he didn't want her to be. John realized that he had stepped over a line and there was no going back. For now, though, he felt emotionally wrung out. He went to the couch and fell asleep almost immediately. Good morning, John. She was right here watching him as he woke up. He gave her a soft smile. Good morning, Lizzie. There's one more day before vacation is over. Would you like to do something? Well, I think I've spent more than enough time in here. Do you want to go outside somewhere? Yes, I would like that. And possibly after that, their date went completely normally. Lizzie seemed more relaxed than he had ever seen, enjoying herself. Okay. When the day was finally over, she returned to her house. She didn't invite him in. Instead, they just lingered at the edge of the property. John, I don't know what to say. You don't need to say anything. We can talk about it later. Then I'll see you tomorrow, okay? Yeah, see you then. He watched her go, then turned around and walked back to the bus stop alone. The entire ride back, he tried to think about his experience, but he couldn't begin to grasp everything that had happened. When John got home, he found the door undamaged. The entire house didn't look so different, as if it hadn't been abandoned for 9 days. There was only a single message on the answering machine, his father saying that he was going to go on a company vacation. He hadn't even noticed that John was gone. None of his friends had called. He had been taken out of the world and no one had even noticed. The only person who had cared was Lizzie, but she wasn't there with him now, and there were still so many emotions to sort through her. John sat down on the couch and simply felt numb. He fell asleep there, and a certain amount of time later, he slept and did not dream. Alright, so we woke up and took our medication, and when he went to school, he should have asked Mrs. Smith her opinion, but because despite the absurdity of it all, they were still going to have to go to school. Lizzie wasn't waiting for him outside the house, which was probably a good thing, he decided. Then walked to school, and the crisp air gave him time to focus. Alright, so we got to school and went to our locker, and we noticed we have a note. Good morning, John. It's actually normal. Woo! Despite himself, John smiled a little. Then he looked up and saw Lizzie around a nearby corner, and she smiled back before vanishing. It's just like the first episode, guys. Wow, that is so touching. Still, he felt silly for having the new lock on this locker. Obviously, that hadn't been remotely enough to stop her. He drifted through several classes today. He wasn't too much different from the other students, since they were all back from vacation and unfocused. None of the teachers tried to make them do very much. I always liked that at school, honestly, when the teachers were easy on you. Ah, John, I hope you had a good vacation. It was okay. You spent the entire time working, I'm afraid. I actually tried to call you, but it seems like you weren't home. Yeah, I was busy, sorry. Oh, it's fine. I just hope you haven't lost any of our progress. Why don't you lie down and we can get started right away? Oh my god, he got onto the couch, but things didn't go as smoothly as usual. Mrs. Smith was doing her best, but he just couldn't concentrate. It didn't take a genius to know the reason. He needed to decide exactly what he was going to do. Oh yeah, that's right. So we saw this aspect of the story. Something on your mind, John? Tell her the truth? I feel like we shouldn't tell her the truth. That would be bad. Just lie about everything. I don't know. This vacation was weird. It felt okay, not great, but okay. Were you able to make a trip with your family or take a trip with your family? A change of scenery might have done some good. Nah, we didn't do anything, but I guess a few things have changed for me lately. Maybe you're right. Apparently Mrs. Smith was doing better because she ended her session early and let him go home. On his way out, he spotted Lizzie watching him from the shadows. He smiled at her and she smiled back, but that was all. And for now, that was enough. John started walking. The school year got away from him a little. Despite everything she had been through, John found himself starting to return to something like a routine. His time with Lizzie was strange at times. She was even sweeter and more devoted than before, but occasionally she showed flashes of something else. Once when a classmate happened to smile at him, Lizzie explained at length about how she wanted to dismember the other girl at one limb at a time. John just held her and stroked her hair. Oh, that's kind of cute, isn't it? Like, you know, it's kind of psycho, but it's cute. Maybe he was going crazy, but he no longer minded those parts of her. He preferred that Lizzie to the one who tried to hide her nature from him. He wasn't sure if it was just his imagination, but he felt almost like there was a little more color in the sky than there had been before. There actually is. On occasion, he still headed to the library to try to look up more information about Koitek to see if he could find out more about her condition. It wasn't going terribly well. All he had to go on was the old microfilm and random ideas, which was part of why he thought he brought Lizzie. But she seemed uninterested. Eventually, he sat back and pondered how to go forward. This isn't working. We need to come up with something else. When I was at your house, you made some pretty long statements about Koitek. Do you know anything about them? Nothing specific. I just have a strong feeling that you shouldn't get involved. Well, I think you were right about the Pax team, so I'm happy to take you seriously, but I don't think I want to go full conspiracy theory yet. And even if it was true, what could we do? I mean, we're just a couple of kids. It's not like their secrets will be printed on local paper. Maybe it's best if we just don't worry about them for now. For sure, but later, if there was any chance that we could learn more about you. Not to try to change you, Lizzie, but I want to know more, don't you? I don't care, but if you think it's important to me too. Yes, but maybe this isn't the best time. We're too young to, you know, deal with something like this. There's something I wanted to ask you. It's not so important, but it's soon and it matters to me. Sorry if I changed shirts. I'm sorry, I did. It's really weird. I had to stop last episode. Okay, I'm not even gonna explain it. Guys, just pretend that I'm wearing the same shirt. Of course, go ahead. What is it? The country fair's coming up next month. Can we go together? The country fair. What if I thought there'd be a festival, but okay. Well, I've always thought it was kind of a cheap event, but maybe it wouldn't be so bad with you. I don't like fairs either. Fairs, we have a fair here, and I just don't like to go. It's just like very expensive food. There's not that much to go. The people that put the rides together scare me because I don't want to get in the rides and then, because you know, there's a lot of accidents that happen on those rides. I just do not recommend it, but you know, it's a thing a lot of people like, I guess. Yay! I'll look forward to it. It was only later that John remembered something more of his classmates, some of his classmates had said. Elementary schoolers went to the fair to play games, middle schoolers went for roller coasters, and high schoolers went to get, that's what they went for, okay. Was that what Lizzie had been meaning to imply? Oh girl, I mean, alright, I don't know. Had he just signed up for more than he realized? She wouldn't know that, right? But over the next several days, she didn't act any differently and just seemed to look forward to it with an innocent anticipation. We're only gonna go there so I can buy expensive food, right? So it felt awkward to bring it up, and the longer he didn't mention it, the stranger it got. So day by day, they eventually reached the date of the county fair. Lizzie met him at the edge of the fair, shifting from foot to foot eagerly. Her face lit up when she saw him, and she immediately hurried to meet him. Oh, you're finally here. This is gonna be so much fun. I'm glad to spend time with you, but honestly, I haven't got to go to the fair in a few years. Oh, I'm sure we'll have fun. Besides, the important thing is that people will see us together. What? Dating doesn't really count unless a guy is willing to go to the fair with you. Guys, don't talk like that. I like how we're just completely ignoring the fact that we got kidnapped. I mean, I know we got past that, but it's still fresh in my head, okay? Ha! No, for most guys, it's more about getting. Would you stop? Stop with that freaky language. Well, I want to do that too, but let's go. Wait, what? Hold up. Can we get a record scratch on that? Hold up, okay? I'm here. We're just here to hold hands. That's as far as we're going. Now on this channel, we're only holding hands on this channel, and that's pushing it. For a while, they just wondered, checking out all the attractions. Since the fair was still getting started up, it was easy to grab some food and cotton candy, which Lizzie happily fed him pieces of while they talked. I'm really interested to see where this, I don't know where the story's gonna go from here. I thought, after the whole kidnapping situation, there would be, that's the end of it, but I guess there's more. Honestly, though, the idea of people thinking of them as boyfriend and girlfriend felt wrong, too trivial. He wasn't sure what word was appropriate for them after everything they had gone through, but he was certain that there was more he was more committed to Lizzie than he ever had been before. And the way her eyes met his, not trying to hide the madness within, he felt very at peace with the relationship. It felt right, whatever it was. Oh, is that a knife throwing booth? Oh, well, that's just fantastic for Yandere. Ha, I suppose, ha 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 ha. I suppose you want to try it. Of course I do. The man running the booth looked pretty sleazy and John was fairly certain the game was rigged. And that's, oh my god, that's another thing. All the games are rigged. So like, you know, they just basically steal your money. There's a big guy in line in front of them who only got a knife and one target and seemed pretty mad about it. Well, well, well. Want to impress your lady friend? We have some nice prizes if you can get a few knives in. Actually, she'll be the one throwing. Oh, well, just be careful. Don't cut yourself, young lady. These knives are crap. Oh my god. I felt her voice got deeper for a second. Look, we can't have people getting hurt. It doesn't matter. Lizzie proceeded to hit a target with every single knife. She didn't just throw them. Her arm lashed out like a snake. And the second the knife was deep in one of the targets, the man running the booth just looked irritated that the game was beaten, but he grudgingly showed them to the wall of prizes. Lizzie clapped her hands gleefully. Yeah, so you can't get mad if they actually win. Yeah, you guys should look it up on YouTube or something like rigged games at fairs. Ooh, what should we get? Do one, what do you want? I guess how about that big teddy bear on the top? I can take anything I want, right? Just take what you want to go. John took down the bear and handed it to her. She hugged it with a cute little squeal, then skipped away. John followed with an odd expression. The stuffed bear, really? I like taking them apart. So cute. She cast a quick glance at him, hesitant for a moment, but he smiled at her when she went on. As in limb from limb, it helped me to calm down before I found you. Well, maybe we'd better not do that in public. Yeah, maybe not. But if you want dismemberment bears, we can get dismemberment bears. What does that mean? Oh, how sweet. Seeing her win the game so effortlessly had him a bit curious though. When John spotted a high striker booth, he directed them towards it. He kind of marveled at the pole with the bell at the top. He'd seen them in pictures, but he hadn't been sure that they actually existed anymore. Some classmates he barely recognized were trying their luck at the moment, swinging the hammer high overhead and bringing it down into the target as hard as they could. None of them got the slider more than halfway to the bell. Hey, you know, speaking of bells, huh? You know, speaking of bells, you know, go ahead and hit the bell, you know? You want to give it a try? Yeah, let's. Okay, alright, I mean, we're doing carnival things. I want to get on with it. Okay, so she's gonna take a whack at it. When she actually struck, it was surprisingly fast. She raised the hammer, grasped it with both hands, and then somehow, a second later, she had already slammed it down. Hard. The slider shot upwards and struck the bell with a cracking sound before it fell back down. Oops, too hard. Well, how is he so strong? Is that like... I feel like it's probably that medication from that one place, right? That her mother gave her? Maybe she actually has superpowers. That's what I thought though. Wait, do I not get anything now? I think the lights just flash and tell you that you're really strong. Oh, well, that's really disappointing. She didn't seem disappointed though, smiling at him as they walked onward. So you were curious about me? About wondering how strong you actually are? I'm not sure to be honest, but it always been that way. As soon as I went to kindergarten and met other kids, I realized that I had to slow down and pretend to be weak or they would look at me too much. Well, it's pretty impressive. I like hammers, they're just very messy. Oh god. Knives are way more fun to collect and so practical, but what really feels best in my hand is an axe. I'm not sure why. This might be another conversation better left for private. Okay, we'll talk about my axes later. They walked onward just chatting and enjoying each other, and John almost forgot the fact that he was carrying the giant stuffed teddy bear, but he got a reminder when he heard an unpleasant snicker. Are you effing serious? Oh, the stupid classmates are back. Oh my god, guys. In language, please? One of his classmates was there with his girlfriend pawing at her chest while she giggled and swatted at his hands, but they both leered at Johnny and Lizzie holding hands. I mean, what are you, 12? Once, taunts might have bothered him, but now, John didn't care. He didn't even have any desire to prove that his friend was wrong. When he thought about what he had with Lizzie, and felt her squeeze his hand, he just didn't care. Come on, let's ditch these losers. His classmate's girlfriend led them away, and John didn't really care about that either. When he gave Lizzie a smile, though, she seemed a little irked. You can just ignore them, you know. Yes, but that won't be satisfying. Come on, this way. Oh my god, what are we gonna do? She dragged him onto a narrow alleyway between two stalls. A little ways down, there was a closed-off space in between several of the temporary stalls. Surrounded on three sides, the sounds of the fair seemed softer. He became very aware of how alone they were as Lizzie slid off her jacket. You want to do something not— oh no, what are we about to do? Yes, I think I do. I don't know how you can just ignore what they said like that, but I admire it. Me, I want to do something to prove them wrong. She pulled off her shirt and— what? Well, you're doing a good job. You have no idea how much I enjoy that. We fit together so perfectly. It's like we're made for each other. Oh god, okay, so they skipped it, thank god. No censoring involved here. I like it. He leaned back against the wall, needing a moment to catch his breath. Wow. Wow, so she has superpowers, alright. That good, huh? Oh, wow. Lizzie stood up and gave him a hug before putting her clothes back on. Wow, that felt amazing. I know, I want to do this so much more. Maybe give me a break, though, super girl. Lizzie giggled mischievously and took his hand to pull him away from the alley. Okay, but not too long. Soon they headed back out of the alley. John felt like everyone must have noticed, but no one looked at them. Actually, things outside seemed different. He frowned and glazed at Lizzie, who paused for a moment then nodded. Is something wrong? The sounds in the distance aren't normal. There's too much tension. As soon as she said it, he realized that she was right. It didn't sound like people talking and having fun. They were upset about something. They glanced at each other, briefly nodded, and then headed towards the source of the commotion. Soon they arrived at a densely packed group of people clustered around a line of police tape. He could see a few cops moving within it, and spinning lights lit the entire scene in strange colors, but he couldn't tell what happened. Lizzie frowned, pondering something. She nodded her head toward the crowd, so he headed towards it to learn more. He found a familiar face in the crowd and tapped her shoulder. Hey, what's going on? Oh God, it's horrible. Someone from our school was killed. Who? His face was taken off entirely. They're still, oh my God, they're still trying to identify him. Oh crap, do you know who did it? They say, I can't believe this, but they said it was from a girl from our school. She stabbed 2 of the police officers, like with a knife. They were rushed to the hospital. Whoa, and about her? They shot her, seriously. Or at least that's what I heard. I just got here in time to see the body before they covered it up, but I didn't see the violent part. How horrible. Thanks for telling me, though. His classmate went back to staring at the crime scene, so he let himself drift back to Lizzie. Her eyes had grown serious, so he followed her as soon as she put some distance between them and the crowd. Holy crap, guys. You would have expected it would be Lizzie, but it wasn't. Normally, I would have guessed it was you, but no, it wasn't. I would kill anyone who got between us, anyone you wanted me to, but I wasn't involved with this. Do you have some idea, though? There was another girl, not like me, but similar. In our school, really? Oh my God, double yandere. Her mother knew Abby. They got kicked out of Koi Tech program together. For the same reason? Being pregnant? Or have you got to be kidding me? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. I never liked her, but we never really spoke, but I think she could have been capable of this. Then what do we do? I think we should go. Stay away from this. I'm not arguing with you there. She went with him to the door and kissed her goodnight, but they both knew that things hadn't been entirely settled, not yet. He tried to watch the news, but it all seemed meaningless speculation about what had caused the girl to murder her boyfriend so brutally. He had to turn it off only after a few minutes. Though there were still more questions. When he went to bed, he found they slipped away from him, and then he fell asleep remarkably quickly. That night, he had a dream that Lizzie murdered both his classmates. He saw her standing over the torn open body covered in blood. Freaking brutal, guys. She saw him and bared her teeth in a smile, then kissed him, and then it wasn't a bad dream. Dear God. Freaking weirdo. The next morning, John awoke feeling the best he had in a long time. He had to remind himself that most people would be mourning over the 2 murders the night before. The school had the flag at half-mast. Basically, that's for people that die. I think they do that. And a class was canceled so they can have a special assembly about the incident. It meant basically nothing to him and most of the other students as well. It seemed to have shaken everyone else to the core, but John still felt good. Maybe that meant something was wrong with him, but he didn't really care. He felt like he and Lizzie were even closer than before, but when she arrived, there was a strange look on her face. John, something is wrong. Someone wants to take you away from me. Lizzie, are you feeling well? Please, we need to run away together or we won't have another chance. It seemed like she had become more unstable and that what she was saying must have been her paranoia, yet she seemed strangely intense about the whole thing. Just run away? How could that even work? I've made plans. We could do it, I'm sure. As serious as she sounded, perhaps this was necessary for her to stay stable. But doing something that wild out of nowhere after everything had happened to them, would that just make her even worse? Oh God, guys, what do we do? Do we run away or stay together? I feel like we should run away. Maybe we should save it. That's what we should do. Let's try running away together first. I like to try to, because that seems like it could be a bad choice. Where would we go? Won't that just attract attention? No, I'm prepared. We can say the murder made us want to transfer, then go away and live safe from all this. If you say so, then I trust you. We need to get away from here, far, far away. That very day, Lizzie arranged everything, pulling him out of school and apparently faking the permission slips. She seemed in earnest, madly jealous if a woman would sweep at any moment and take him away. John went along with her in a daze, shocked by how fast it happened. Lizzie told him to say the murderer had shaken him up too much, wouldn't let him see anyone. Even Mrs. Smith, other students were also shell-shocked, so it didn't really raise too much attention. But when they left town in a car and supplies Lizzie had prepared, John almost felt like someone was following them. Was Lizzie paranoid, just rubbing off on him? For years afterward, John wondered about that moment. Oh wow, it's been years. Had he made the right choice to support Lizzie, or had he just encouraged unnecessary paranoia? Maybe it didn't matter at all, yet somehow he couldn't make himself believe that perhaps in another life things would have been differently. Occasionally, he wondered why Lizzie had seemed so nervous about the entire thing. When he asked, she just told him that it didn't matter anymore, they were safe. Aww. How cute! As years passed, she began to calm down. She still had days where she needed him to hold her tight, just like he had days where he needed her support. Despite everything, they were a normal couple. After they were married, Lizzie had softened again. His co-workers told him that he was lucky to have such a beautiful, devoted wife, and he was. He just had to pretend that he was the one with the enormous collection of knives. The end. Oh, was that it? Well, okay. Oh, there is another path. Okay. Oh dang, we're actually missing quite a lot of things from the gallery still. Yeah, so we're not done yet. Okay, now we're gonna see what happens if we stay. Alright, so now we're getting called to Mrs. Smith's office, so I guess it's another therapy session. When he arrived, he found Mrs. Smith with a rather grim expression on her face. John, I hope you're doing alright after the incident. I understand that the boy who died was a friend of yours. That felt like an eternity ago, but he realized that it was more or less true. He shook his head slowly. An old friend, but yeah, it's hard to believe. Well, I thought we should have a conversation. It's okay, Mrs. Smith. I feel like I'm doing okay. There are other students who probably need help more than I do. I'm afraid I must insist. Lie down. He almost defied her then, but in the end, decided to do what she asked. Therapy sessions always made him feel better. It couldn't hurt. No reason to draw attention to himself or Lizzie, after all. Alright, what do you want to talk to me about? My feelings about the incident? No, there's no time for that today. Wait, what? I need you to relax immediately. John began to settle back onto the couch, letting her words become a meaningless hum. And for the first time, he realized how wrong that was. He lay there apparently relaxed as he tried to think back to their past therapy sessions. The more he thought about them, the more he realized an ominous pattern. He could barely remember any details. They would chat for a while, then the rest of their session was just a white haze. Ready? I need you to remain calm and come with me. She spoke flatly as if she expected to obey without any question. What was this, some sort of hypnosis? Well, realizing she might get upset, John slowly got to his feet. He wasn't sure how he was supposed to act, but he settled for a straightforward obedience. Delayed response. Have you been taking your Paxitine lately? I knew it! It was just so we can freaking obey her. She looks evil. I suppose it doesn't matter. All of this is normal. You want to follow me and await instructions. John had no choice but to do so as she left the building, but inside he was panicking. What was he supposed to do now? If he'd seen Lizzie, he could have begged her to follow with his eyes, but he didn't even see a hint of her, not even watching him from around the corner. For the first time, she's not stalking us when she actually freaking needs to. They walked outside to the parking lot where Mrs. Smith opened the passenger seat door of her car and gestured for him to get in. He stepped inside and tried to keep the tension off his face instead just staring forward. So he's hypnotized? I got a little confused for a second. They didn't drive very far, just to the warehouse a few blocks from the school. It looked half abandoned, but when their car approached, the gates and then one of the garage doors opened for her. Inside there were multiple armed men in gray body armor. He didn't see any insignias on them or any indication of who they worked for. Why don't you take a seat, John? He got out of the car to obey, only then spotting a blank white table and two chairs placed in the center of the warehouse floor. Sitting down, he tried to stare blankly at the table even as he analyzed what it held. There were two metal briefcases, just to make things strange, a box of surgical gloves. Remain calm, but focus on me, John. You're aware of your surroundings, but willing to accept what I say. Huh? Not the most elegant of lies, but it seemed to work. Mrs. Smith barely even glanced at him, instead pulling a pair of surgical gloves. We brought you here for your own protection, John. I'm afraid your girlfriend is not who you believe she is. Lizzie, what's the problem? Is she okay? I'm afraid not even close. Years ago, Koitek was an innovative company on the very forefront of biochemical research, but I'm afraid some of the company's founders were less than ethical. What does that have to do with, I mean, you want to talk about how this is ethical? It's not at all. What does that have to do with any of this? Shut up, I'm getting there. Testing standards were rather lax. In particular, there was a certain test of a mood drug that should probably never have been certified. Dozens of lawsuits were settled for families that suffered in the tests. That is right and good. Koitek acknowledged the mistakes of the past. Unfortunately, some of those mistakes were more enduring. 4 pregnant women participated in tests without disclosing their pregnancies. They were of course removed as soon as their condition was realized, but it was too late for the embryos. One became completely non-viable and was stillborn. There's conflicting evidence around the second, but it appears the boy may have committed suicide at a young age, but we still are concerned with the last 2. One of them was the murderer who police put down last night, and the last was Lizzie Doss. Huh? You're saying that Lizzie had some kind of condition? Well, yeah, we kind of already knew that, didn't we? It's not really a surprise. Early investigations suggested both girls turned out normal, so the matter was closed, but recent events seemed make it seem like likely both of them were deeply disturbed. I'll be blunt, the girl is not remotely stable. She's a danger to herself and others. Well, I kind of already been kidnapped and we kind of already got past that. You don't know that though. Did they really think that that would work? That they would just nod and accept the story with the guards all around them seeming like paramilitary forces? Then again, perhaps she was counting on her therapy to have a controlling effect. Either way, all he could do was keep up his act. So it is an act. Couldn't you just be like, nah, I'm not going with you. I don't have to. Because it's true, he doesn't have to do that. Then what do you want me to do? Why can't your guards take care of it? John, we don't want to hurt the girl, not at all. We want to help her. We would prefer she came in quietly. The implicit threat hung in the air. John swallowed and nodded. Then what am I supposed to do? The girl trusts you. If you can administer a sedative to her, then we hope we can medicate her without any unnecessarily struggling. Mrs. Smith opened the first metal case, showing him a number of syringes filled with disturbingly bright liquid. They look like chemicals that would melt metal, not ones that should go into anyone's body. If you are receptive to our plan, we will provide you with a variety of options, and we have extra strength sedatives here, for example. However, based on the incident yesterday, I personally believe that we may need more an extreme option. I would advise you to use this one. Her fingers brushed the last syringe in a briefcase, one filled with the bright red liquid. This is a modified version of the chemical that Lizzie was exposed to in utero. Wouldn't that be really dangerous? Her body can barely handle the level of exposure she already received. An addition dose should lock her down entirely. And you expect me to convince her to be injected with something like that? It does not need to be injected extravenously. Autopsy of the other girl indicates that the chemical has a substantial effect on muscle tissue, so an injection into any muscle would be effective. Autopsy? This was more of a conspiracy than he had imagined. John nodded as if it was vaguely reasonable. Well, I want her to get help as she needs. Are you sure this won't hurt her? Let me be honest with you, John. John, there will be likely some pain for her, you know, a little bit of pain, a little bit of death. There will likely be some pain for her as her body rejects the chemical, but it may be the only way to ensure that she harms no one and cooperates with treatment. I see. He sat forward and held his head in his hands as if he needed to think, which he desperately did need to do. Would they just really give him the syringe and let him go? He doubted it. At the very least, they'd be keeping him under heavy surveillance. Talking directly to Lizzie would be impossible. In fact, he had to wonder if everything Mrs. Smith was saying wasn't just a backup plan. It might be no accident that Lizzie was missing. Maybe they were looking for her. But ultimately, he didn't have enough information, and he didn't see any way of getting to the point he needed to reach with so many security forces present. Smith, HQ hasn't responded. Dang it, we'll just proceed with the plan then. No, it's not that. We seem to have lost our connection. Ooh. Then this case is completely under my authority, John. We're counting on you to end this without anyone else getting hurt. Sounds like a secret top agent mission. I hope we can do that. You can, I'm sure of it. Then should I? At this point, a radio cackled. One of the soldiers raised a walkie-talkie and tapped the button. Was that perimeter? Attack, repeat, under attack. Yandere is here. Crap, directly? Alright, switch to plan C, moving on. The soldiers rushed to obey and John rose with them. Surely it had been Lizzie attacking them, but what did that mean? He only got one step before 2 soldiers grabbed his arms, forced him back down into the chair. He struggled, but they were adults, far stronger than he was. I'm sorry, John, but it looks like you'll have to serve as bait. Oh no, oh god, guys, this is not going good. This is kind of like Godzilla in a way, you know? It's like, I think at the end of one of the Godzilla movies, they end up liking Godzilla, and be like, no, Godzilla was trying to help us, but no, they trapped him. As she spoke, she opened the second metal case. This one held syringes filled with a clear liquid, one of which she lifted and examined. What? Mrs. Smith, what are you doing? This is going to hurt, I'm afraid, but if she snapped, this is all good for now. He tried to struggle even harder, but the soldiers had gotten him strapped onto the chair. Bound in place, he was helpless to do anything but twitch as Mrs. Smith approached with the needle. Before he could do anything to stop her, she injected it straight into his vein on his arm, and the pain was instant. His world went white and his ears rang so loudly he could barely hear or see anyone. Mrs. Smith was desperately giving orders and the soldiers were moving about, but he couldn't understand any of it. They say they're on my side, but I don't believe it. Something tells me I just don't believe it, or it's just not a good idea. He had never felt anything so painful before. His thrashing particularly tore one of the straps behind him, then he slumped down with the agony still washing through him. Through the pain, he dimly saw Lizzie arrive and slaughter the remaining soldiers. She seemed heavily injured, but it didn't stop her erratic, deadly movements. Lizzie had Mrs. Smith pinned down. She was saying something, but he couldn't hear over the rushing in his own ears. It felt like his heart was going to burst with every beat. Distantly, he realized that Lizzie was threatening Mrs. Smith, then torturing her. Whatever was said, it didn't matter. He fell away into a blazing white pain. He faded back into reality with cool hands on the sides of his face, piercing through the agony all around him. Somehow he managed to open his eyes despite the pain. There she is. Lizzie's lips moved, but he couldn't hear anything. He realized that she was crying and didn't understand why. All he wanted was for the pain to stop. She leaned forward to kiss him, and the kiss was sharp and cold. He kissed back for a long time before he realized that her axe had entered it. Oh my god! It felt cool, almost pleasant. The burning hot white all around him began to fade into darkness. The last thing he saw before it all fell away was Lizzie. He tried to say goodbye, but it was too late. She killed us? Oh no, Yamcha again! No! Oh no! Today's scrub of the day goes to Trevor Torrent Cat. I hurt my finger too, my pointer finger, and my leg. And now I can't play Fortnite without hurting myself. Oh my god, guys, can we get a prayer? Can we get a like equals 1 prayer in the comment section for Trevor? I'm so sorry. I really hope you recover. Actually, I don't know how bad you hurt yourself, but it was really bad. Then I feel like a freaking jerk. But everyone feel sorry for Trevor, okay? Congratulations, you're scrub of the day. If you want to be scrub of the day, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the bell, guys. That way you don't miss out on videos. Plus, you never know, you could have got scrub of the day, okay? Keep leaving those comments down below, guys. And if there's other endings that seem like worth doing, then I will make another episode of this game. I want to thank you guys so much for the support on this game. I had no idea that people would like it as much as they did, so it really does mean a lot, guys. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next series or whatever we plan on doing. All right, bye bye now.